In the late 1890s, the Yukon in northwest Canada was the backdrop for the Klondike gold rush, one of the last great gold rushes. Back then, fortune seekers faced a grueling journey through an unforgiving wilderness, but now it can be negotiated in somewhat kinder conditions. My final destination will be Dawson City, the heart of the gold rush. But first I've got to make it along the Chilkoot Trail, a path that took stampeders from the coast of southeast Alaska to Bennett in British Columbia, near the Yukon border.
So during the Klondike gold rush, stampeders were making their way to the Klondike gold fields. Numbers between 100 and 150,000 made their way towards Dawson City. And this was considered the poor man's route. It was the overland route that crossed the Chilkoot Pass, a 3,600-foot mountain pass. And their experiences would have been one of a lot of hardship. Well, these days we follow in those footsteps of the stampeders and the First Nations traders. There's a number of camps along the way, campgrounds where hikers can set up and take in the scenery, enjoy the challenges and the natural beauty of the trail.
But there's more than one way to enjoy the scenery. The White Pass and Yukon route train may be less challenging, but it's just as impressive a way of making the journey from Alaska to the Yukon. When it was completed in 1898, it allowed those stampeders with a bit more cash in their pocket to avoid the perils of the Chilkoot Trail. After the challenges and trials of the Chilkoot Trail, stampeders could have been forgiven for thinking that the most lethal part of their journey was over. But they were wrong. The river route to Dawson City took them through the town of Whitehorse, and to get there, they had to negotiate Miles Canyon.
It was very treacherous, very dangerous. Many men lost their lives and their hopes and dreams here because of the swiftness of the current. The current was so quick that it actually created foam from the violence of it, and that's actually how the town got its name, because it looked like the manes of wild white horses. And eventually, there's a porting system that was designed because there's too many accidents. At one point in 1898, there's a bottleneck of wreckage. It was like an elephant graveyard, where boat after boat just smashed onto the rocks, where you had these inexperienced pilots who were from the city hoping to get to their destination as fast as possible. So they would build these doom ships that could barely stand by themselves and just hope to get through on the other side in one piece. Of course, that was folly, and most of the time, it ended in disaster.
This is Dawson City. Gold was found just a nugget's throw from here on August the 16th, 1896, and the news reverberated around the world.
Well, the gold rush created Dawson City. There was nothing here at the beginning until Joseph Ledoux came along and decided to set up a town after discovery in 1896. The initial couple of years were really, really difficult. There was no time to put in any sort of infrastructure, so there was no sewer system, there was no garbage pickups, and the streets were muddy because this was a swamp. So there was a lot of diphtheria, influenza, typhoid illnesses. There were 3 hospitals, they were full, and of course the sternwheelers stopped coming in the winter, so supplies sometimes became short as well. So the first couple of years were very difficult.
At the height of the rush, there were 40,000 people in Dawson. At the last census, it was less than 1,500. But those that remain make sure the city keeps its authentic gold rush feel. And this is why the prospectors came to pan for gold. Brian, we've got the equipment. What do we do now?
Well, we take our pans, we go down here to this pile of dirt, see if you can find some real gold. Well, first of all, we got to get some dirt.
Oh. So it was literally this straightforward. Dirt in the pan, make your way to the creek and away you go.
That's right. In those days, they would just go right in the creek. There was enough gold in the creeks that they didn't have to work quite so hard.
There is sparkly stuff in there.
Do you have gold in there?
What's that? Well, that looks quite gold. Is that gold or is that?
Gold. That is gold.
Whoa! See? Here we go. So what are we looking at here?
What you're looking at there is quite a few flakes of gold. You did well.
How much do you
Look at
reckon? How much do you think that's worth?
Not much.
I personally think there's enough for at least 1 or 2 drinks there. Well, I'm going to celebrate anyway. It's good enough for me. You coming?
Let's go.
Let's go. And this is my watering hole of choice. Diamond Tooth Gertie's Casino is named after a real-life dancehall queen who, instead of working the creeks for her riches, made her fortune by mining the lowly prospectors instead.
Diamond Tooth Gertie was a businesswoman back in the late 1800s. She was a very smart lady. She made a lot of money during the gold rush. She basically thought, what do men like? Because there really was an influx of men in Dawson City at that time. And she thought, right, it was booze and ladies and gambling. And she put the 3 of them together and made a killing.
And it would seem that men's tastes haven't changed much over the years. Dawson City is a wonderful place to end your journey. Not only does it have that frontier feel, but it's also got a real sense of history and a real sense of tongue-in-cheek fun. It just goes to show that there are still riches to be found on the Gold Rush Trail.